All right, Marital Arts fam, we in. We all the way in. Today we get to talk about the art of evolution. Because guess what? No matter how amazing you think your marriage is, it's got to change. It has to change. And so let's sit down and talk about what happens when your marriage reaches that state where you notice the changes in yourself or in your partner and how to handle it without freaking out. So babe, what are the things that scare people from change?
Oh, God.
Why are people so afraid when they see the new little wrinkle in a marriage?
We'll start out with a story.
Ooh, story time.
Date myself. Because I distinctly remember grocery store checkout lines with Cosmo magazine and Elle magazine. I was telling you this on the way here. And the headlines on those magazines were like, find out if he's cheating. 20 questions to answer to find out if this is the man for you. There were all of these, easy, quick, formulaic answers to help you feel like you were in control, right? That's the thing. And we'll come back to that. But what they came back to, what I remembered seeing as a theme, were all of these messages that changing your spouse means they're being unfaithful.
Ooh.
It wasn't like changing your spouse means they're growing and getting closer to God, or they want to be, better for you. It was very much like, somebody caused that change and you need to watch out. So that's the first thing. I think that's a big one. But really, I think the fear of being out of control is what drives a lot of folks' issues with change, assuming that it's healthy change, which we can come back to too.
That's a great point is, at the end of the day, as much as we want to control what our marriage is going to look like and how it's going to get there and how long it's going to take to get there, that's not something that is necessarily in our control all the way. It's something to definitely pay attention to and to look out for. For me, I think of it from the perspective of I want our marriage to change. It has to change. Because any marriage that isn't evolving, it's not to be, it's dying.
Hey, any person.
Take it there. Take it there. When either one of you isn't changing, it affects the marriage to the point where the marriage starts to die. So at least one of you should be, at bare minimum, one of you should be evolving or changing as your marriage goes through. And then, if we're blessed, the change in you inspires a change in me. And now we have this cycle where our changes encourage development and change in the other person. See, I'm keeping it positive. We're going to get to the other joint.
Yeah, because I just saw the opposite. I'm seeing change and devolve and the cycle of destruction.
Wow.
Because that's the thing, right? This is all assuming that it is evolution, which you said. You were clear. But once you started saying change.
Well, see that, and here's the thing. Not all change is linear. I think we think that we evolve, and the only way we evolve is we get better and better and better and better, and it's just better. And that's
exactly what happens with me.
Yeah. Clearly, babe. Clearly. Come on, fruition of evolution. I'm seeing all that. I'm seeing
Lord
it.
Help me. Hardly. Yeah.
But as we change, it's not always a step ladder of positive evolution. There's some side steps. There's a couple steps down. Sometimes
you just fall and crash on your face.
Absolutely. Flat on your face. Like just straight. And so everything that we try in terms of in our own moments of discovery, trying to figure out how I can be the best version of me, how you try to figure out how you're the best version of you. Everything we try doesn't always work. But that's the beautiful thing, number one, with being married is we got to remember we're in this forever. And so I have to give you the opportunity to try that thing that is designed to make you a better you. And know that if it doesn't work, okay, a part of the process is you tried it, it didn't work the way you wanted to, or I tried it and didn't work out the way I wanted to. But since we in this together forever anyway, you know, we might as well let this part of the evolution take place. We learn something from it, and that's how we grow.
There's two things. One is, I want to talk about the best me.
Ooh.
Like, what does that mean? I want to be a better version of me. I want to be the best me. Like, help the people, help your wife understand. Let's, you know, unpack that.
Absolutely. So, the best me is not a perfect me. I think a lot of people, when they say, I want my best me, they want the most perfect. In their minds, they're like, this is me with no mistakes, getting
exactly
everything right. I never fall, I never slip. All of my thoughts are perfect, my execution is perfect, my everything is just perfect. And that's not even a real human being. And so that's why I have come to embrace my best me is the me that's trying. Your best you is the you that is trying, that is paying attention, that is learning, because that's really what evolution is. You are adapting and learning. And so as long as you are taking the lesson from the thing, and then you take that lesson and you take a step that makes you better, that's your best you. Your best you is the you right now trying to get to your best you. That is your best you. That's why I love your you, babe. Like, your you is amazing, because I look up and you are evolving. You're not playing out in these streets. You're evolving emotionally and spiritually and all the things. All of it. All of it. See, we didn't even know we were going to be here. But
I'm gonna ask you to just take several steps back because
Listen.
I had makeup done. We're not gonna, there's a little thug tear trying to come out of my
That's
right
all right, it's
eyeball right
okay.
now, and I have arrested it in the
Ooh,
spirit.
cut
It's
it.
gonna stay.
Right back up in here.
It's back inside. It's good. It's good. That is such a stunningly beautiful definition of your best you, because for it hit me, like it moved me to hear it, because, and I'm sure people can relate to this, at some point when you're single, because that's still who you are when you get married, you're just next to somebody now, trying to be better, right? I'm
that.
still the same
Say
person.
that.
Like, she didn't die and was reborn again, literally. Like, there's all that flesh is still here. Like,
Yeah.
all of that thinking, all those traumas, experiences. And so some of those experiences, for me, manifest in my best has to be perfection.
Oof.
And it's so hard to break, is this idea that you can be accepted with your flaws, and that someone will love you knowing that you're being human as opposed to being perfect. And so I think for evolving that grace, and I mean, what was funny when we started is this assumption that it's going to get better, right? So that's funny. But the really beautiful thing is this idea that there's grace for it all.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Thank you for that. That was just, sorry, that was for me.
Hey,
Go ahead and take us
receive
wherever
it.
we need to go.
Receive it.
Oh, gosh.
And that, at the end of the day, that's what makes marriage so beautiful, is it's that moment where you're like, oh, wait a minute, you're flawed just like me. Because when you first get married, you believe like putting on the ring means suddenly you have turned into like, yes, the supreme being of you is suddenly here.
course.
And you do everything. You used to burn eggs, you don't burn no eggs no more. Everything is an amazing omelet. Like, that's just what we think. And the fact of the matter is, who you were after you said, that's the same person the next morning when you wake up as Mr. and Mrs. You the same
Exact
person.
same.
Exact same person. The only difference is now you have somebody
To show you.
to show. Yeah, you have a mirror. Now I got
Like
a
a
mirror.
365 mirror. If you could wear a mirror suit,
Yes.
it shows you all that. You know how you be in those dressing rooms that have the little
The
panel?
whole, yeah.
This is like a 365 mirror. The
Every
things you did
side.
not need to see, all just bow.
Yep.
right in your
And this person you just married has signed up for allowing you to see all of your sides, and them seeing all of your sides, and not judging you, but loving you through all of that development, no matter how bumpy it is. So that's your best you. And for my singles, you are being your best you in this state that you're in right now as well. It's not about being perfect for the homie. It's not about trying to be perfect for the spouse. I love this, like I'm getting ready for my wife. I'm getting ready for my husband. Get ready for you. If you can look in the mirror and be real about what is happening, what is developing in your mind, what's developing in your spirit, what's not developing in your mind, what's not developing. When you can get real with yourself in the mirror, okay, we could talk about getting ready and real for a spouse. Because you got to practice that there, so that now when it's time for me to share me with you, at least I have a little bit of practice.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because I feel like you were touching on this self-awareness and honesty, right? And what I find is a lot of us, for one, don't have it. And for two, are trying to keep it that way. I like to stare off into the distance when it's an uncomfortable truth. And so the question is like, no, your friends aren't able to reveal the same things to you that your spouse can. But something that I think we have to be mindful of at all phases of our journey, who do we have around us? And how honest are they with us? How self-aware are they? How honest are they, constructively honest with us? And are we able to receive it? What do we do with that? Because some folks are out here like, I'm getting ready for my husband, and they just walled off every constructive friendship they have so they can just see the shiny, made-up parts of themselves, and the inability to receive correction or to be intuitive enough, not introspective enough to actually reflect on what somebody's telling you about yourself without like shutting down, getting violent, walling them off. That doesn't start in marriage.
No.
And a great reflection point is like, who am I connected to right now? And what do they say my best and my most challenging features are? And how did I respond when they, because it's the same conversation over and over in marriage. Sometimes it's deep.
Yes.
And sometimes it pops off over like, can you close the refrigerator door though? And you're like, oh my God. I thought we were in a good space.
Ooh. Oh man, there's so much of what you said, especially the part about how you receive. Because how you receive when you're single is only magnified in terms of how you receive then when you get married. Because if you can't receive it from a friend, if you can't receive it from a brother or sister or a mother or a father, when you get into marriage and covenant, this is where two become one. If you can't receive it from the outer fringes, as I will call those other relationships, it makes it mission impossible to receive it from the most intimate relationship you have, which is your spouse. And so I'm challenging my singles. I'm looking right at y'all. How do you receive evaluation, criticism? Like, and just as you said that, I think of this also. Are there areas you cannot receive criticism in, or just won't? Because I know, for me, there are areas, and everybody has them. Everybody has a sensitive area. Like, you can criticize me about my artwork all you want. I can't paint.
No.
I don't care. You say what you want. I know I can't paint. So the criticism is really not a thing. Now, there are other areas, you talk about my jump shot, like, wait, hold on. Well, I ball. I used to ball. But she's about to talk about my jump shot because she just saw it a couple days ago. It ain't hit nothing because it's been a minute. But the areas where we take pride in excelling, are we able to receive constructive criticism there? Are we able to receive analysis there? I don't even want to say constructive criticism because a lot of people use that as a way to just say really mean things that happen to have a little truth in them. But can you receive an observation in that? Like, where is it tough to hear that from? When you start to discover that before you get married, when you get married, it's not such a horrifying experience when your spouse tells you about yourself because your spouse is supposed to tell you about yourself. I have to let Tina tell me about me because she sees, like that mirror, she's seeing my blind spots. She's seeing the things I don't see. You're seeing the things I see, but I don't want to see and don't want to deal with them.
Right.
But because now we share life together, I have to deal with them. So one thing you want to note in this evolutionary process is, where can I receive analysis? What areas do I have a hard time hearing about myself in?
Because it's some of this, as deep and intimate and spiritual and incredible as marriage is, there's also a really, really practical element of circumstance. And like, if you're living with someone and spending a lot of time and doing really hard things with someone who has an input threshold of one item a month, you could tell me about one thing that bothers you a month. This is not going to work. You know what I mean? And so because sometimes I think it can add a lot of weight to the challenges of just communicating. I'm a person, you're a person. We both have changing, evolving preferences and needs. And on some level, it's just, I'm in a cold season, babe. I need, the thermostat turned up, which is apt for us, but, and being able to hear that. And it's not about when my dad was 3, he told me, and there's space for our trauma, but this idea of our interaction needing to be fluid enough that your partner can evolve and change, and it's not personal to you. You know what I mean? So talk about like, how do you deal with it then? Because that was how you started. Like, how do you not freak out then?
Oof. The first thing I would say is expect it. I expect you to change. I expect you to evolve. So now when I see, come on now, like, yes, perfect example. I look up one day and I thought it was one thing. I thought it was just one time. She has on my blazer. I said, that's cute, girl. That's cute. You look cute. You wearing a blazer. Okay. And then the next week, it was another blazer.
They all fit.
And then suddenly,
like a glove.
she figured out it's blazer season. But not any blazer. My blazers.
There's a whole closet full of them.
All of them. Probably all the blazers you are going to see in the next coming episodes, they're probably mine.
They got little feathers and things
I'm
on them,
saying.
already accessorized.
Hook it up, girl, and do the thing. We in blazer season. But I didn't expect to be in blazer season. But it's cute. It's different. And then, 6 months from now, she could be completely over blazer season. But I expect you to bring little wrinkles, keep me on my toes. So one, I would say expect it. I would say also in terms of, how to handle change and how to handle your spouse evolving, really how to handle you evolving, is be patient. Not every change that we see is going to be a lasting one. Because, as I mentioned earlier, we try things with the idea that they will make us better, but not everything we try is going to succeed. And so, you know, with us, I don't put the expectation on you that the minute you try to do something, that it's going to take effect immediately and that effect is going to last for the rest of our lives and nothing else will change. I look at it as a step. And each one of us is taking those steps. So number one, yeah, I expect you to change. I expect me to change. And I have that patience for both of us as we do it. Now, it's easy for us to do that because I promise I'm going to be with her for the rest of my life. So 6 months of figuring it out in the grand scheme of things is not that big a deal. I could do a year or two of you figuring it out. You have done more than a year or two of me figuring me out. You know, I didn't always have a beard. It used to be a goatee. For a second, it was clean shaven. When I proposed to you, I had a fro.
Oh God, help me.
You know, I might find a picture of that fro. We might put that in the pod. Thankfully, I have evolved.
Okay.
From wearing a
fro. So, let's, again, story time. Let's, with all honor, call a thing a thing.
Call it a thing.
It was not a fro. That suggests that it was, you know, shogun, even, full,
it was
thick,
none
all
of
the
those
things. In reality,
yes.
Bless the Lord.
Yes.
You shared with me, this is my recollection.
Go for it.
You shared with me that the Lord told you not to shave your head until you had proposed to me.
Yes.
And what ended up happening was like, how would you describe the hairstyle you had when we got engaged?
I would describe it as growth.
Wild, woolly,
just growth.
Inconsistent.
Growth in many directions.
And I remember because I was like, we're going on a date. I'm going to look my best, right? We're going to get made up, wear a fancy dress, make sure my hair is done. And you were like, hi.
Listen, everything else was popping. You know, the blazer was popping, everything. But, you know, the hair was not cut.
So here's my question, because that's a really apt example. What do we do when the change is like, babe, that ain't it?
That ain't it?
And you had a word from the Lord, so I don't question that. However, and, you know, there's, I think, two ways this goes. Either there's the stuff you just don't like, okay? And unfortunately, I feel like we just have to swallow that and or just make sure you don't judge or criticize. If it's actually violating a boundary, then tell your partner about it. And then the other things are like, are there ways we evolve where you need to give your spouse a helping hand and like steer them back on the path? What do we do with that?
Ooh.
Or we just need to be, you know, they're on their path.
Listen,
my boundaries aren't being violated, so I just go watch.
You know, listen, to quote Peeps from back home, you keep it real, son.
Oh my God.
You keep it, you ask. Don't pretend you don't see it. That's the worst. Yo, that is the evolution. No. Don't pretend it's not happening. You're lying to yourself. And you're lying to your spouse, and guess what? They know it too.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you can't just be like, I don't see it. Can you imagine if you had not said anything and that was just going to be my hair for the rest of our lives? You can't even think of that with a straight face.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's okay to ask, hey, I noticed something different. You're doing something different. Tell me about it.
That's a great way to put it. It's non-judgmental.
Exactly.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
This is how we talk about children's paintings. When
Yeah.
they show you something and it's,
You know?
and you tell me about it.
But it gives context, which helps clear up the mystery so that it isn't so crazy. So because sometimes you'll see something like, man, that looks outlandish. I have no idea why she's doing that. And then you get the reason and you're like, okay, yeah, it looks outlandish, but that's a great reason. And if, you know, the reason is grounded in something and the two of you can get on board about what that thing really is, then you establish that the two of you are in agreement with this evolution. And now once your partner knows, once that other person in your life knows, yo, they're with me, it's easier to give tips. It's easier to give the observation versus when you just come in off the jump like that's whack. Like, that's terrible. That
The
looks
expectant
awful.
look after.
So, what do you think? That face has already said what you think, even though you ain't said nothing.
Oh, no.
That deal. So I think that's really what it comes down to is being able to ask that question and receive the answer for what it is and go from there.
Okay. Let us share examples, specific examples.
Let's get specific.
Of evolution you've seen in me or changes you've gone through, because I may not have realized you were evolving in certain areas. But yeah, let's give some examples, because we've definitely talked through, like, how do you not freak out? I'll add to the don't freak out, pray. So the guiding light for our marriage is the Holy Spirit. We believe in the Bible, and I can absolutely say when there is a great unknown and some of these
Yes.
evolving moments are unknown, there's absolutely something for being able to go to God in prayer, and sometimes like that judgment or criticism is coming from something that, so you see your spouse evolving and it's making you feel rejected or abandoned or fearful or whatever the thing is, and being able to talk that out, being able to hear guidance and support in your own time, in your private time. And sometimes he'll even go ahead and give you a nod like, 2 more days, it's done. And you're like, bet, fall back, thanks.
Yes.
Appreciate it. But that being said, what are just any examples, pick like 2 of evolution that you didn't see coming? I kind of want a good one and a bad one.
Okay, I can't even think of a bad one.
If it's
offhand.
bad, it can't be ongoing. All
Okay,
right?
it can't be something that's happening right now.
No. Jeez.
So glad you invoked prayer.
All right, so 2 examples.
Yes.
Good and bad, resolved.
All right, I just wanted to tap on the prayer thing real quick because that has saved my whole life. Just being able to say, Lord, I'm seeing a new thing. I need insight from you as to what this is and what I should do. So sometimes God will be like, ask or speak into that. Encourage. Sometimes he'll say, encourage. I'll be like, I don't understand. He's like, that's not the point. Not for you to understand. Encourage it. Okay. But with my relationship with God, if I don't get it, I'm so glad you brought up. First person I go to is like, Lord, what is this? And a lot of times, he just says, don't say nothing. So many times,
That's
like,
my dog.
don't say a word. And I'm like, Lord, what is this? And he's like, I got this. I got you. I got her.
No.
I got this.
Yep.
And I have to bite my tongue because at this point, marital arts fam, your boy loves to talk. I see stuff, I want to talk about that thing. And he's like, that's not a part of how this process goes.
Which again comes back to the control thing.
It does. And so one good thing in terms of evolution with you, I had no idea that I was going to come with you on the journey of you mastering the explanation of your emotions. I didn't know I was going there. I was not
so
ready.
sorry.
I didn't know.
Oh no.
I didn't know. I had no idea. I knew you had strong emotions. See, you like how I put that though, right? You do. You have very strong emotions. They are very evident. Like right now, there's joy. There's a hint of, oh my goodness, my man is talking about this right now. It's all there. It's all right there. So I knew, when we were together and then we got married, I was like, yo, this is somebody whose emotions fill up the room. And I said, okay, because it was cool. Like the emotions that filled up the room for the most part were emotions that were awesome. And then there were some emotions that were like, Lord, what do you want me to do? What I didn't know was that you were going to evolve to the point where you could explain the emotions you were having no matter how big they got. I didn't know that was coming. And I didn't know that I was going to be along for that part of the journey. I just figured it was going to be big emotions, kind of ride the wave, but I didn't know I was going to get the navigator to be like, okay, look, this is a trigger. This trigger stems from this happening in this point in my life. This is how I'm dealing with it now. This is how you can help me in this. This is what's not helpful in this. I didn't know I was going to get the emotional mastery class and that it was going to force me to evolve in how I deal with my emotions or my lack thereof of dealing with my emotions, which I wouldn't have known if you hadn't gone on your journey. And so, yeah, massive bonus. I didn't know that. She fine. I was like, let's go.
Stop.
Let's do it.
So, you almost made me lose my train of thought. What's really beautiful about that is like, so part of my huge emotions and intense life experience, this intense humanity, right? Part of what I didn't realize when we got together was that I had experienced childhood trauma. But what I do remember was that that's like don't deal with those people. Don't marry them, don't date them. They broke it and it's not going to change. And what's beautiful about it is this idea that we don't have to be all the way okay or together or, like you said, perfect. And it's not that you're broken and someone can love your brokenness. You're a whole person experiencing the fullness of life, and the right person, the mature person that has the capacity to allow you to experience that is there for you. And so this idea that you can, not only experience that and find someone, but in our case, be with someone who then realizes that and is unpacking it and stay together through it is just, that warms my heart. Because there's too many messages out there that tell us why we can't be with someone and who we can't be with. And that's just another one that ain't true.
Yep.
Okay. I feel like we're, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Wait, well, I did mine.
Oh,
No, yeah,
I
you
should
go.
do it?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
going to alternate. Cause
All right,
I'm
all right.
stalling because I need time to think about a bad one. I can't think of a bad one offhand. But you go.
You're so cute. Okay, a good evolution. And this is great because I feel like there's fireworks that are
I know, like-
punctuating. I wish I could see them in the background.
This is
because
so
it's
great.
like, this is the deep part. That was big. All right, an evolution.
Ooh.
These are all the big emotions. I feel like I've cried like
Right there
4
on
times
display.
on this video. Your fatherhood, babe. Like, you are so deep in with these babies. Like, just the hand holding and the care, like everything. And before I saw it anywhere else, that a father could love with the completeness and fullness that you do, I was watching it all of a sudden, and learning how to mother from you. Because your emotional stability was this glorious counterpoint to things that I didn't even realize were unstable in myself. And we'd have these moments where literally verbatim, you say something to our first child and I say something to him. My emotions cause him to start crying. Your stability causes him to just agree or laugh or whatever. But it helped me to become better, and you're just, yeah. And the way that a friend of ours put it, to pour out like that in an area where you didn't get poured into. This was not the model that we grew up with. But that is just, it's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I'm stunned, speechless, which is,
No.
that's big things. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. And doing things like this is a part of it too, is speaking on what you see. Because I think just now I'm realizing in this moment how when we evolve and it isn't spoken on, we miss the fact that we evolved at all. It's kind of like it's like it's like the relatives who see the kids, and the kids see themselves every day, so they don't necessarily recognize how much they've grown. And then the relatives who see them like once every 6 months show up, oh my God, you're so tall, and they're like, what do you mean? I think there's a spiritual component of that in terms of spouses evolving, because we don't know how much we've grown, especially until our spouse says it. Because again, I always come back to when two become one. Like once you become one flesh, what the other half of that says carries so much weight. And so it's one thing for your friends to notice and for other people, but when the person who's with you every day notices and comments on that evolution, it's a big deal. Yeah. So I'm gonna add that to the evolutionary toolbox, is speak on it. If you have seen growth in any area, speak on it, because they may not necessarily know they were growing in that area. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, now this has got to be funny. This has got to be funny.
Ooh.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Your bad resolved one that you're,
Bad resolved one.
I feel like your hair, the engagement hair, was mine.
That was a good one.
So
that was a
just
good one.
throwing out.
Bad resolved one. I don't know. I'm really struggling. Yeah, that's tough. I can't top the hair one because that was so bad. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't got one. I don't have one offhand where I'm just like, oh, that was a horrifying stretch. Okay. Like, no, I think I'm very committed with us to, yeah, I'm rolling with it, period. So it's very hard for me to see. I have yet to see something that was that took away from what we have. I've seen different things.
The hair didn't take away from the proposal, for the record.
Thank you. Are you sure? No. No. Yeah, I really am. Yeah, I can't think of one.
Okay.
I know, like for the purpose of balance for the conversation, it'd be great for me to be like, yeah, you used to chew on pencils and now you don't. Like I don't have that.
That's all right.
But yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So I think when it comes to this beautiful thing called evolving, all of it, the good parts, the bad parts, the unknown parts, the confusing parts, all of it, be patient with yourself as you evolve. Because I think we've been partner focused in terms of like, be patient with your partner, observe your partner, speak to your partner. Mm-hmm. Let's pull back. Be patient with yourself as you evolve, because a lot of the things that are happening, the changes that God allows to happen on the inside of us, not only do they take time, but they take time for us to even at times have a full understanding of. So we have to be patient with ourselves. And if I'm going to be patient with myself, that practice allows me to be patient with my spouse as they evolve. So 1, patience. 2, paying attention. And 3, speaking to the changes and the evolution that we see. Because that's what brings the whole, that's what brings that process full circle, and then allows and encourages the next change or evolution that takes place.
And 4, no perfection.
The biggest one, none of us is going to be perfect. None of us. And that's not even the goal of evolving. It's not to become this perfect being. It is to perfectly do life together, which is I'm changing. Yep. Try. I'm changing, you changing. We've agreed to change together. That's what this evolution thing comes down to. I'm not expecting perfection of myself, and I certainly don't expect it of you. I just expect whatever we do, I expect us to do it together. That's it. That works for me. So fam, you cried with us a little bit.
Well, with me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, with you. Oh, I didn't mean to mess up the makeup,
It's
babe.
fine. It's fine.
It's all good. You know, you got to hear about my fro or growth. Thank y'all for joining us. Like, subscribe, you know, all that other stuff. But most importantly, get down in these comments. What are areas where you are evolving, where your spouse has evolved? I would love to field some questions about how you personally can deal with evolving. People evolving in your life, you evolving in your life. Yo, we are here. We are out here in these YouTube podcast streets to answer some questions. Most importantly, to get everybody talking. Because once we talk and we listen, we can learn, and we do what? We can all evolve and grow together. So fam, we done?
Yep.
We're done. See you next time.